With us now are extraordinary humans, and we're going to be talking about UAPs. Welcome to the show. With us now are Jennifer and Debra. Hello, and how are both of you today?
Hello.
Excellent. Thank you for having us.
So we're on a press junket of sorts because you have something extraordinary to share with everyone. Tell us what Genesis 2 is all about and what the new findings are.
So the Genesis 2 project was started because really people have been seeing throughout modern history, people have been seeing unexplained phenomena. But really in the past, it was largely just shared by word of mouth, and the person telling the story. And at that point, you're really focusing on the person and their story. You're not focusing on the data. They don't have any evidence. But, as we've gotten to the point with technology that on our phones, we have cameras and video recorders. Nearly everyone is carrying this around with them every day and taking photos all the time and videos all the time. And so we've started to gather this large accumulation of people documenting UAPs in our airspace. And really at this point, once we kind of reach this critical threshold, now we actually have evidence and data that can be looked at scientifically. So that now it's not just a story being told of what I experienced, but it's actually giving a piece of data to a scientist so that we can actually look at it and say, what is this? What is it not? And so really this has been the paradigm shift in the study of UAP. And that's what Genesis 2 project was brought about for, was to make sure we usher in a true scientific way of looking at these things that are happening daily.
Well, I was born in June of 1965. It was the year that the arch was completed in St. Louis. It was also the year that something happened in space, right? People walking on the moon. I've always been someone that's been interested from a scientific standpoint of, are we alone in the universe? What is the Milky Way about? Are there black holes? I'm just fascinated by space. I love looking at stars. I love wishing upon a star. And had I not gone into the career that I'm in now, I probably would have loved to have been a scientist, or I would have loved to really study space. And I know that you're both with us today, and Debra, you're with us as well, and you're bright, intelligent beings, and that you've spent your time learning and researching. So from your personal perspective, how do you feel now that in our lifetime, we have had documentation that we can actually look to?
I'll touch base on this because what I think is fascinating, as JC has said, that because we have gone through thousands of photographs that of digitally captured unidentified aerial phenomena, both in video and photograph, and no one's freaking out. Like you see it, and I think in 1940, or you think back to World of Worlds, right? But we look at this and we're just like, oh, well, how interesting. What is it? And I think that's I think that's very important, that nowadays it's being captured not just in the United States, it's being captured daily globally. And so you don't have the freak out factor of aliens. No, it's like, and this is, I think, unique that G2P brings to the project, is that we have thousands of images and video, and now we've said, okay, well, what is it? And how do we prove scientifically? So we've gone to the effort of bringing on some of the top scientists. We've partnered with Primeau Digital Forensics to have the photographs digitally analyzed. So when G2P puts out a photograph on our webpage, you know that it's already been analyzed, and there's a chain of custody from the phone or camera on which the photograph was taken all the way through. It's never been touched up. It's never been altered. It's never been enhanced. What you're looking at is what was taken. So there's the scientific there. And then we did the next step. We brought on physicists and scientists to now take those images and say, what are we looking at? Look at the speed, look at the trajectory, look at the movement capabilities of this UAP. We're not telling you what they are. We're telling you they're there, and we're trying to figure out what they are.
I think it's interesting. And I think that collective science, right? The collective brain of everyone just doing their part to say, even on the 4th of July this year, I was down in Jones Beach and took pictures and not towards the fireworks. We took pictures behind us, and we see these 5 things, these 5 white lights. And we're like, well, it could be drones. And then we're zooming in and we're like, doesn't look like a drone. We're like, oh, we don't know what it is, right? It's a phenomenon. And we weren't the only people on Long Island that saw that, because the next day on Facebook, my friend Michael says, oh, did you, hey, I saw something. I'm like, well, we saw something. And somebody else said, we saw something. And I think by people standing up, sharing what they, know, or what they hear, or what they see, and like what you said, certain images that are so capable of then being documented is important. So it's nice that there's actually people in place now, and that people are stepping up, and we're having a more formalized process. I think that that's extremely important. What are your thoughts on that, JC?
It is, and coming to you from a scientist standpoint, when I was brought into this with G2P, of course, you go in with an open mind. You don't know what you're going to see. Maybe it is this thing, maybe it's not, but you keep an open mind. And it's the old adage of the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And so you really have to go into it unbiased, looking at things. And it wasn't until I saw a pattern, I saw a myriad of these UAP, that they're daily, that these are things that are unexplained. They do not match anything that we know with the way that wildlife moves. They do not match with the way that we know our advanced technology with aircraft move. You have things that are accelerating in speed to the point that is, to our knowledge, it is beyond anything that we can do. We have things that are going in a straight line and making a 90-degree angle turn in a split second. We have things tumbling through the sky. That's not aerodynamic. We have objects that are not aerodynamic at all. When you have a cube is not going to be flying according to our known physics. And so really
unless,
at that point,
like a crouton, unless somebody's like, it's like salad, Caesar salad.
That's true. And that's our job to negate the croutons. Yeah. Yeah. And so, what's so interesting and what piqued my interest was just seeing that this is something that we can't explain. And so what is it? There are so many explanations that it could be. It could have an implication for national security. If it is something man-made in technology that we just don't know about yet, that could be an implication for our national security. This is in our airspace, but if it's also something that is just beyond our knowledge of physics at this point, that has merit too. That's very exciting. For me, that's very exciting from a scientist standpoint, because that just means we're going to get new knowledge, and then we can apply that knowledge to other fields. And so, this is the findings that we can get from this could be very, very innovative, and they could be world changing.
I'm excited when I think about science. I know that due to the pandemic that we had, that people were able to see a mountain that they weren't able to see before. And, the skies cleared up from a little bit of the toxins that were around us. So maybe Earth is just a little brighter right now. So we're able to be seen by other, UAPs. I don't know, but I'm always one to ponder, like the what if. And to really not be in fear, but to live in science. So, I know a lot of times people are like, oh, are we threatened? But we're threatened by so many things anyway. I wake up every day with a positive attitude to live my life to the very fullest. And I know my audience does as well. And when you are afraid of things, then you're not living your life fully anyway. So I'm not afraid. And if there are these UAPs, and if someone decides that they're actually going to be have a pilot inside of them, I know we haven't found other life yet, but I would be the first person to say, "Hey, welcome! You want to have some toasted ravioli? This is pizza. I'm like I come in peace, right?" So I am excited by the fact that someone is paying attention to this phenomenon, and that people are actually taking it seriously. Deborah, I know from the standpoint of, our government and the things that we're doing here in the United States, is there a collaboration globally happening on this type of information?
Well, I think there's information sharing around the globe, with probably a few exceptions, adversarial governments. But I will tell you that the United States government is, they've started the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, the Department of Defense under the United States Navy. And so they're recognizing that UAPs could pose a threat. The reality is, though, documentation on UAPs have been happening for more than 100 years, right? And I believe the Navy started, they followed it from like the 1920s through 2020, and up until recent images. And there's been no negative interaction with the UAPs that are being photographed around the world. But I still think, because they are affecting US airspace, numerous photographs that have been taken by principals from G2P show commercial aircraft, military aircraft with a UAP in the photograph. And so, either going through the vapor trail of an aircraft or just within the proximity of flight patterns. So it's not so much that they pose at this time, they pose a threat, but what we do see is that they are in US airspace. And I think it's the obligation of the US government to know what's in our US airspace and what, if any, threat they would provide.
I do agree with you, because, this, all joking aside about croutons and things, we do want everyone to be safe, and we want them to, be able to pursue a life of happiness and joy and comfort. And so I, by no means, am disregarding that. That's very important to me. And I'm very thankful for, where we live and all of the protections that we do have, and that somebody is looking out for us and for, our benefit. Even years ago, not that long ago, there were some loss of aircraft here in Long Island, and we didn't know, and people were wondering, was it a missile? Was it a light? Was it a this? Was it a that? And so, safety is important. So I'm extremely happy that there is a task force and that people are stepping up to the plate to help us. So, but I thank you for your time. Is there anything else that I didn't, get a chance to ask you, or that you would like to share on behalf of this project?
I would just like to say, for us, it's an honor to be a part of this, a part of G2P, because we are doing this from a scientific standpoint. And it's also, one thing that we are very cautious to let people know is that everyone who is involved, and we have some very, very high level people. We have renowned scientists. We have very high level business people. We have people in technology, all of us, we want to focus on the data. So everyone has signed very strict non-disclosure agreements. So we do not publicize who is involved in this. We do not publicize any personalities. This is all about the science and the data. And this is to make everyone know that this is a serious topic and this is being treated seriously. And the information that G2P is giving is trustworthy and is valid.
I started my television show for moments just like this. So I started my television show about 13 years ago, and I dreamt the whole thing in color. And I woke up one day and I was like, what was that? Prior to that, I had always spent my life behind the scenes producing and things like that. But my point is, it's that somebody asked me years ago at a coffee shop, they're like, well, why would you want to have your own television show? I said, because someday there's going to be information that has to go and be shared through a trustworthy source. And I said, I want to be one of those people. I want to be able to use my talents and my ability to communicate and have that portal, if you will, for people to disseminate important, trustworthy information. And so I thank you too, because in my own small way, I feel like I'm part of the process. I'm part of the science, and I'm part of being able to tell factual information to my audience that they know they can rely on. So I thank you for this moment too.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And kudos to both of you for all the education that you have, taken on, and for your path and for your journey. and continued success and joy to both of you. And I thank you so much. And also,
Thank you,
the same to you.
And a shout out to Ted and Michelle. Thank you for connecting all of us. I really, truly appreciate it. So happy journeys, you guys, from
Thank you.
Thank you.
this galaxy and beyond. Right?
Wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Donna.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.